my crafty friends, and welcome back to RareRoo Crafts. My name's Sarah, and I thought I would just jump on and show you what I'm up to and what's on my messy craft desk. Let's see if I can lift you up a little bit so you can see. So I haven't been around much over the last week or so. I've been busy at work, and I'm just really sort of struggling with fatigue a little bit at the moment. So at the end of the day, I'm just too shattered to really do anything. But I'm up quite early this morning. I've got sort of an hour or so before I have to start work. So I just thought I would jump on and say hello, really, and see what you're all up to. Hoping that everybody is well. To pass on my condolences to Elsa Cleary. Her husband, I understand, passed away, and I know that this has been a really difficult time for her because she hasn't been able to see him, and that's, you know, that's tragic, and it's one of the tragedies that I think people don't realise with what's going on at the moment with the whole pandemic. That it's not just people that are affected and touched by COVID. It goes beyond that to other people in the healthcare system and beyond. So yeah, just she's in my thoughts today, and I'm sure she's in everybody's hearts in our crafty community. So, like I say, it is quite early. You can probably hear that in my voice. I'm a little bit croaky. And what I'm doing at the moment, because I've been, like I say, struggling with fatigue, so that makes me feel not overly crafty. I'm hoping to get a bit of crafting done over the weekend. But what I'm doing in the meantime is I am doing a bit of my cataloguing. So for those of you that have seen my room tour video, you'll know that I catalogue everything. So that when I want to use a die or a stamp or something like that, I can have a flick through the catalogues, see what I've got at a glance, and I'll know exactly where that die or that stamp is stored. I know, very anal, it's just the way I am. So I've also got quite a lot of hot foiling dies because I've got a Go press and foil. I don't use it all that much, but I did get it out when I did my live on Tuesday to do some sentiments, because sentiments are something that I always, it's the thing that you obviously think about last, and I'm rushing about trying to get a card done and I'm struggling to find a sentiment. So I foiled, I don't know if you can pick that up, there you go. So I foiled quite a few. I did some in silver. These ones are done in a black foil. What else have we got? This is silver again. I did some in a pink. And then I did some with a stamp set that I've got, and I heat embossed them with some lovely rose gold, a copper, a gold and a silver embossing powder, just so that I've got some on hand. And while I've got out the hot foil dies, I thought, well, I might as well catalogue them. But I also, sorry, I'm trying to get my camera just right, I also thought that this might be quite useful for E. Johnson Woodson, because she had put a video out saying that she'd bought some hot foiling dies by mistake, thinking they were cutting dies, and she didn't know what to do with them. She hasn't got a hot foiling machine, so I think she was going to try and take them back, but just in case she's not able to do that, I thought I would show you that you can use hot foiling dies. Even if you don't have a hot foiling machine, you can use them with ink, and you can use them to letterpress. So as you can see here, I've popped a load of sentiments. Like I say, I'm making up little cards to go in my catalogue so that I can see what stamps and dies and all the rest of it that I've got. So this is some of the hot foiling dies out of my stash, and all I'm going to do is I've laid them on my platform for my Go press and foil, but you could do it on just your big shot platform. You might just have to play around with your plates a little bit to find out what sandwich is right for you. You might want to take off one of the plates and perhaps just use a couple of thin pieces of cardboard instead of one of the plates, so that it's not so thick that it is over compressing, because then it's got the potential to actually cut into your paper, which you know, isn't great. So I did try and do some on just paper. In fact, this is a card one that I did, and I did it on my Big Shot platform, and as you can see, there is it has sort of cut through in places because the sandwich was just a little bit tight. So you might just have to play with your sandwich, but I'm doing it on my Go Press and Foil platform because obviously it's the right size. So I've just laid them out. I've put a piece of silicone mat underneath so that I don't get ink on my platform. Again, if you're going to do that on your big shot, you're probably only going to want a thin layer of cardboard as your top plate, or put a thin layer of cardboard on your platform and then use a plate on the top, whatever way round. Now I'm just going to go over it with some ink. I'm using StazOn just because I happen to have a green StazOn in my stash that I don't use all that often. So I thought it would be a good one to use for my cataloguing. Get some use out of it. It's a nice dark one so that you can see all of the sentiments. So I've just gently tapped over all of that so that the whole thing is covered, just like you would do if you were inking up a silicone stamp or a rubber stamp. And then I'm going to lay my piece of cardstock over the top. I put my platform plate down. So obviously if you were using your big shot, you would just put a plate on the top. And then I'm going to run that through my big shot. Now you could do this if you've got a Gemini because they're only the same thickness as thin cutting dies, so you could still do this with a Gemini, but you would just again need to play with your platform, your plate sandwich to make sure you get it right. Open that up, and I've obviously moved this one slightly as I've put it through, but you can see that it does put the sentiments onto the paper. Now if I build this up a little bit, so if I put a layer of cardstock in there as well, it will also emboss into the cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I will just take these ones off because obviously I've catalogued these, so I'm just going to give them a quick wipe over with some alcohol, and then I'll put the next set on the platform and I'll come back and we'll put a layer of cardstock in and we'll see if we can letterpress it as well. Okay, so I've set up the next set of dies on, or stamps, whatever you want to call them, on the platform. And again, I'm going to tap over them all with the ink and just make sure that all the letters have got a bit of that StazOn ink on. There we go, like so. Right, I need to grab a piece of cardstock. Just realised I haven't actually cut a piece of cardstock. That's not going to be big enough. Bear with me. I'll just pause the video while I just get a piece of card. Okay, so I've cut a piece of cardstock. I've just given them a quick going over with the ink again. Now the trick to try not to get a double print is to try and lay it down in one. Without too much faffing about, which I'm not very good at. I'm then going to pop some cardstock, so this is just the back of a stamping pad, a patterned paper pad, sorry, over the top of that, and I'm going to push that through, and I can now feel that there's a little bit more resistance to the platform. It is, you know, it still goes through nice and smoothly. I don't want it to be hard to get it through because otherwise I'm definitely got too much pressure, but there was definitely more resistance that time round. So. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I can see already that it's definitely done some letterpressing because I can see the imprint of the words behind. So if I pick that up now, I've just smudged it again, but there you go. It's easier if you're just doing sort of one sentiment at a time because I've got lots on there. If I was doing it one sentiment at a time, I would probably put it down and tape it, but because I'm just doing it for my catalogue, I'm not bothered if there's a little smear here and there. Let's see, I have got some where it's gone on really nicely, so that one you can see it's embossed it really nicely and it's really clear. I've got an alphabet one that I've done, and again it's letterpressed it really lovely and nice clear crisp images, so it is easy enough to do. It's A, because I'm on camera, and B, because I am rushing because I've got to go and start work. But yeah, you've got the letterpress, so it's indented into the cardstock, which gives it a really nice look, and then you've got the ink obviously to bring the letterpressing out. You could also, I suppose, do this with like a Versamark, a really nice sticky ink, and then you could heat emboss over the top of that, and then you'd get the embossing powder sitting in the wells of the letterpressing. So it is possible to use hot foil stamps or dies, whatever you want to call them, without a hot foiling machine. You can use them with inks. So if you have accidentally bought some, so you know you've got them from Ali or somewhere like that, and you can't send them back, or it's not worth sending them back. They're not binnable. You don't have to chuck them away and not use them. They are still totally usable, and you can still press out some very lovely sentiments and use them just as you would if you were hot foiling them. They just won't be foiled. So that's it from me for now. I'm going to just pop these ones away, and then I'm going to go and start my working day, and I will be back on over the weekend with some projects. I'm going to start my lantern. So for those of you that saw my Halloween lantern, you'll know that in that video I said I'm going to do one for Christmas. Here is the one that I've got in order to do for Christmas. So I'm going to start that process. I will probably do that as a few separate videos, a few individual videos, because there's quite a few stages to it, and I'm thinking rather than doing one sort of hour or so long video, I'll break it down into some stages and we'll do it in parts and see if it's a bit more watchable that way. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that was helpful for those of you that perhaps didn't know that you could do that with hot foiling dies or stamps, or I never know what to call them, dies or stamps. I think they're hot foiling stamps really, aren't they? But yeah, they are usable even without the hot foil. So that's it from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon in another crafty video. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.